We do have the video ready. I just didn't get it out yet, so you will be getting a link for that. As I said on my board here, I'm glad you came back. Uh, Sometimes I wonder when I'm doing things whether or not I'm being a little too crazy. Um, so as always, we're going to start. Sorry, my. By the way, you all know, like I wear hearing aids, right? How did you get in here? You just snuck in on me there. I didn't see you. Um, so feel free to yell at me. It's okay. I don't mind. Um, uh, the way to get out of the building: door behind the curtain, door through the kitchen, door out the front here. You have to unlock it to get out. And this door over here, we have this door shut today because there's a bit of a breeze coming in. But you can certainly just push right out that door. Bathrooms are out that door and to the left. And I think that's about it. We're going to jump right in today because we kind of ran out of a little bit of time last time. We're going to be working on the second picture that I gave you last week. If you didn't if you don't have a copy or you lost your copy, there's some extra ones over there. I also have another worksheet there. I scoured the internet because I talked really quickly about how to put that grass in on this picture. And I was going to actually just look for examples, but I found this little worksheet, and I think it might be just what we need to just give us a little bit of practice before we put the grass on our drawing or our sketch. And then I thought we need to talk about putting people in our sketches, but I haven't really talked about the fact that we're so far away and we only need to put in tiny little people. I haven't really gone over how we do that and what it looks like. So again, at the same place I found this other worksheet, I found another one. And then I couldn't resist, and I drew a whole bunch on the back, so you guys have something to look at and practice from. But I think that's kind of important because a lot of times when we're looking at pictures, there are people all over the place. And, sometimes we want to just forget them and not put them in. But sometimes it looks pretty cool to have some people in there. And what are some starting things that you can do to get them in there and make them kind of look like people so they don't just look like blobs stuck in the middle of your sketch? Okay. I don't think there's anything else. I did come in early and decorate for you, so I hope you. No, I didn't. This is the house tour that's going on here in Port Colborne. I think it's this week. So this is the base for it. If you come in, this is where it'll be. Louder. What is the space used for? This, you mean ever or? Yeah, just in general. It's just a hall. Yeah, so you can rent the hall. Families rent the hall sometimes and have dinners in here. They have once a month they have a like a music cafe thing that comes in. I wish. I wish. At some point when I win the lottery, I'll just buy the building. Oh yeah, yeah, it's part of that's the church over there owns it. Yeah. Okay. I didn't really talk last time about. Let me see if I got it in my pocket here. I put it in here. This thing. You've all got one. I want you to remember that you are allowed to use an eraser. Sometimes people come into classes like this and they look around and they think everybody's doing so much better than me. I can't use an eraser. Oh my God. No, you absolutely can use an eraser. We all make mistakes. That's how we learn. If it doesn't look right, get the eraser out and use it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. All right, so where am I here? I think I'm over here. Yep. So we're going to jump right in. Before I put my picture up there, oh, maybe I'll just put the picture up there. What the heck? All right, there's the picture. We talked last time about organizing our page and the rule of thirds. So I said that the rule of thirds is we divide the page into 3 sections this way and 3 sections this way. And again, it could be whatever you want. You know, if you want to divide it into more, that's okay. But 3 seems to be something that we really, really like as human beings. So that's how I started. And one of the main, I mean, this isn't my idea. This goes back to the Renaissance, this rule of thirds. If you want the picture to be appealing, put your rock star, the thing that you want everybody to look at, on one of these spots, or near one of those spots, or a couple of those spots. It will make people want to look at your drawing or your sketch, and it will make it more appealing for people. So that's, I think, something that we need to keep in the back of our minds. And I set up this picture purposely this way. I had to crop it a little bit. But I wanted this building to be my rock star. I wanted that to be the most important thing in the oh, you can't see, can you?
Thank you.
I'm standing in front of it. And I'll bring this one back. Now you can see me, and now you're happy, right? Donna, there's another seat over here if you want to. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So I purposely wanted to put our rock star on one of those lines and one of those spots. So you can see that it really hits right there and it's on that line. So that's exactly what we want. I talked last week about redefining your page so that you have a different place to work that's not the whole page, in case you go a little bit too far this way or a little bit too far that way, and you run out of room. And you want to put that on there. Kind of like, oh, it's not up there anymore. Kind of like when I wrote Sketchbook, I ran out of room and it had to go down the side of the page. Well, we want to have a little extra room. So we're going to redefine our space so it's a little bit smaller, just in case. So that's how we're going to start. And by the way, I'm sure I said this last time, but I draw in charcoal up here only because you won't see my pencil. And if I draw with marker, I'll have lines everywhere and I'll really confuse you, more so than I am already. So I use charcoal. I recommend that if you're a beginner, that you're learning, start with pencil. That's okay. And then go over after and ink it in if you want to. But you don't have to. But anyway, somebody asked me last week why mine rubbed off so easily, and it's charcoal. It comes off easily. But it's so everybody can see what we're doing. Okay, let me put this down over here. So we're going to redefine our space by coming in just a little bit on the page. And if you want, you can put some dots, and that gives you a place to aim for. So we're talking about drawing a straight line. Well, you can't sometimes, and this happens to me all the time, especially when I'm standing beside it, I get off too far that way. Well, if I've got something I've got my eye on, and I'm kind of trying to make it so that it looks half decently straight. That's a little wiggly. And then the same on this side. And by the way, don't worry that it's not exactly straight. This is just to help us redefine our space. We can take these lines out completely when we're done. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Somebody asked me too, I forgot to mention that. This is a car chamois, when you wash your car. It works excellently for taking charcoal off the page. You can just kind of, it leaves a little bit of a line there. Here's an art word you probably haven't heard before. Pentimento, which is the ghost of the lines that you put on there. So it leaves a little ghost of a line, but it's excellent for taking up charcoal. It also works really well if you need to take up big spaces of graphite, of pencil. You just rub it with this and it'll come right off. Okay, so let's divide by 3. And I'm sorry I have to stand in front so I can kind of see here. So again, I put a couple of dots at the top, a couple at the bottom. I'm going to put my line and try to aim for the one at the bottom. Oops, I went a little wide there. Same with this one. And then 2 on the side. So notice we're only putting in 2 lines, but we're getting 3 spaces. All right, we've defined the spot that we're going to work in now. Have a look at your reference. So remember I said before, and we're calling it odds now, analyze the reference, understand what's in the reference, and then sketch it. So look at the reference. We've got a house. It's kind of sitting up over here. It's sitting on, I want to say that that's a hill, but it's higher than a hill, but it's not. It's just a hill. And the person who took the picture is kind of down over here. You can see because the eye line is here, so they're probably standing back here. Lots of grass, lots of water in front. We've got, on the horizon line, we've got whatever that is on that side, and then the sky. Okay, so we kind of figured that out. This is an old barn, well, maybe an old house. So we're looking at it pretty closely. I'm going to pick this one up over here. The first thing we're going to notice is that we're right on that line. We're right on this line. And in fact, we're so much on that line that the peak of the roof touches that line. And it's just a little bit in, like so. Now the roof comes down, like a triangle. But where does the bottom come? Well, if we look between the 2 lines, it's about halfway. Right? Whoops. And then it comes a little bit more, so let me put a mark here about halfway so I got an idea. And then it goes a little bit more than half on this side. And just a little bit in, I'm going to say that's maybe a quarter in there. So we've kind of got it mapped out up on the board right now. So I'm going to put these lines in. Okay. There is a line that goes between them. We may as well put that in. Now these, I should have let that go down, are a little bit longer than that line in the middle. And this now comes down just a little bit more. It doesn't come way down. So don't make that mistake that side is pretty big. It's not. It's pretty narrow. So we're just going to come down and we're going to put a line there. Even though you don't see a line, we're just going to put it there so we know that that's the bottom of our building. Now, we're getting some big ideas. Remember, we go from big ideas to medium ideas to details. So we want big ideas. So that means we're not going to worry about the windows that are on there right now. We're not going to worry about the shadowing. We're looking for the big ideas. So the next big idea I want to tackle is the rest of this roof. So look at what's going on here. Now it's a little bit difficult to see because it's around the side. So we're talking about perspective. We're not going to go to the horizon line and do all of that kind of stuff today because this picture doesn't lend itself to it. But we are going to observe. The back comes over, if you look at where the corner is, this corner, it comes over just a little bit more from that corner. Not a lot. We think in our head that it should be further because of the way it looks, but it comes over just a bit further, and then it's also down. I'm going to say it's down about a quarter. Maybe, yeah. On mine, my lines are a little big, so it's not a quarter, it's just a little bit. So this is going to come down like so. So that's the top. And then this back part has to match this angle. If it doesn't match that angle, we don't have a roof, we have something wonky that's fallen down. This then comes down a little bit further. I'm going to say just a little bit further than this point here. And let's draw that in.
Is it lower than that line?
Yes, what?
Is it lower than that line?
Yes, it should be a little bit lower than this. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that's where we kind of get tripped up a little bit, because we know what it looks like, but we need to look at our reference. Our reference will tell us. Let's look at the front part of this now, and look at this little part in here. This now comes on an angle and then goes back. We don't see the roof. We don't see the roof there, do we? We see a little bit of it, but we don't really see it. So this comes over, oops, a little bit before that, kind of like that, and then down. And it's going to come down just a little bit further than that. And now this one is just a little bit further than the peak roof coming down, but it's more of a straight line. I hope that's straight there. So it really doesn't look like it's in perspective, but it's in perspective. Because this, you can just see a little bit of a line going up there, and then this goes across. We have the want a better word, the turret. It's not really a turret. On top. Interestingly, on our line is a spot where it turns. So it's four-sided. So there's a flat side towards the peak and another flat side towards this side of the roof. And right on our line, that's where it turns. So if we come back to our line, and we're going to go up just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can make this darker. Whoops, that's too long. So I'll make that a little bit darker. And then you can just barely see over here a little bit more. So this goes like so. And then this, I keep pointing to the little one, I'm sorry. This part here is following the roof line. Can you see that? The part underneath the peak is following the same roof line. It's coming on an angle like this. It kind of matches this and then comes down. Go up, about that far. And then we're going to draw in the kind of widow's peak that we get from this, like so. Have it come down on a bit of an angle, like a, sorry, not a widow's peak, a witch's hat. The one at the back is similar, but it's smaller. And it does look like we're kind of bunching everything together. We're not really. So try to make this face and then have that go over the side just like we did with this one. And then it's got just kind of a little finial kind of thing on top. That's what you guys know what a finial is? The top of a lamp? Yeah. Now that's really a detail that I put in there, but I wanted to kind of finish that off so we knew where we were. So we're kind of, but that's big details for that building. We're going to come back to it, but that's big details. Some more big details are going to be the horizon line, which is kind of at the bottom of where that room is at the back or at the side. And it's, you can draw in whatever kind of greenery you want. We're not gonna worry about this thing here. I'm not sure what it is, and it doesn't really add much to the picture, so we can just pretend it's not there, unless you know what it is. And then, of course, the horizon goes across over here, and we can't really see a lot, but we can see a little, so we'll just kind of sketch that in so we know where it is. Now comes the artistic part. The part where you look at this and you kind of try to decide, what do I want to leave in? What do I want to take out? So let's look at this line here and see how it comes almost over to the corner there, almost, and then goes back. And it really actually goes back to almost to this line here. That shadow there is I think, a spot where it goes down in. So if we take this and it comes almost to here, and it comes almost back to that middle line here, well, that gives us an idea of how we want to do this. So we're just going to put a sketchy line in there, and then have this line sketchy go over to there. And that kind of takes care of that part. If we come back to here, we can see that this goes from there along this line, and it hits about there. Not quite hits, but it's close. So I don't know if you're noticing, but we're doing a lot of comparing on the page. Where is this compared to that? Now, you don't have to take my word for it. If you think that it needs to be higher or lower or bigger or smaller, that's okay. Go ahead. But I'm trying to see what's here and see what I can make out of it. So I'm going to come from here, and I want to come over, what did I say there? Yeah, about this far. So I'm going to come from here and follow that along and come around. And then it kind of goes down, and we've got a whole bunch of craziness happening there. So we're going to leave that for now. Now we're right in the foreground, the front, right here. So that's essentially the bottom half of that bottom block. So this, again, is where we get to be a little sketchy. And we can put whatever we want in here. I'm just going to draw kind of a line just so I can kind of get the idea. I want that to be a little bit bigger because it's closer to me. And I can see that there's this big rock in here. It kind of comes like so, and then comes down off the page. And there's a lot of darkness in there. We'll get back to that. So right now, we have the sketch on the page. We can stop right there and say, well, sketch is done. We got it. because it is there. If you look at that and you look at the reference, yeah, I see it. Now's the time where you start to add some of the medium details. So by medium details, I mean things that are a little bit bigger, but not really tiny. So to me, the windows, and those are windows, except for the one, it looks like a board is off there. The windows are a medium detail. So I'm going to put a rectangle here and then a half moon over top of it. And then beside it, we're going to just pretend it's a window, but I think it's a board that's off. And then underneath that, with this being the middle part, and we have two narrow windows and a wider window. Okay. We've got another window right on this line. That's convenient. That should be more rectangular. Take my word for it, I'm using artistic license today. And then we have another one here. Okay. I think to myself, that's enough medium details. The rest of it's going to be fine detail. Now, I suggest that we work on the building first, and by finer detail, I mean, and I can see this, and so I hope you can, the way that the boards are on the side of the building. At the top, they're all going this way, vertically. And part of the beauty of this building, of doing this sketch, is that we will be able to see all of these lines. So I want you to take your time and put them in that way. The one underneath it is going horizontally. So take your time and put those in as well. Now, I'm not going to do it with my charcoal because it's going to get really messy if I do that. And I don't have, I do have a fine marker. I have one over here. So take your time with that. Notice that the side building as well has the vertical in it, not the at least I'm thinking that's vertical. Yeah, they're vertical. So they're going this way as well. So let's get that part first, because the other sides, the roof coming down is also going the long way down, but it's quite dark in there. My suggestion to you is that you take your pencil, very carefully put in the lines, and don't tell anybody in the atelier class I said this to you.
I'm listening.
Smudge it with your finger a little bit to get it a little darker.
What is that?
And
Is that we smudge?
up here on this part,
Oh,
and then down here on this part, try to leave this little tiny bit of the roof alone. If you look at it, you can see it's a little lighter. So the light must be somehow hitting that. Not quite sure how.
Are we not gonna paint it?
Pardon?
Are we not going to paint it? Are we not going to paint it?
We are going to paint it, yes.
Chris, what is that blue stuff? What is it?
Hmm?
What is that?
It's a shadow.
Of what?
I think it's like a ditch in there, and the light's just not going in. I think. Yep.
Where you said leave this little part alone.
Le- leave a
You said leave this little white part alone.
this little part right in here. You can just see a little bit of the roof. Just a sliver of this part here. Yeah, just a sliver in there. So that kind of tells me that the light must be coming a little bit more forward than it is from the side.
Chris?
Yep.
You have your name tag upside down for a reason, to see if somebody notices?
You win the prize today. Thank you. Actually, I had it clipped to my pocket and it turned upside down. I thought, well, if I put it here, it shouldn't turn upside down, but then it did.
There you go.
Thank you. You didn't tell me, videographer.
Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on you.
Okay. Now, before we get into our paint, we have a lot of grass there. And we need to do something with this grass. I would like you to, if you're game, I would like you to put in the grass before we paint it. Now, the reason I say that is because there's something to be said for seeing the outlines of something like grass with the color on top of it. It helps it kind of look more grassy-like. So we're also going to be putting it in with lines when we put in the green and the yellow and maybe some of the purple in there. But I'd like you to try putting in just some lines for grass. Now, there is a worksheet over here. And it looks like everybody got one. I want you to take this out. We're going to take a little break. What I'd like you to do is go to the next page in your sketchbook. And I want you to slide this underneath your sketchbook. No, underneath the whole book. So that just this part sticks out.
Oh, I see. Place your finger.
On a fresh page.
Oh, fresh cake.
Fresh page. And then I'm just really going to quickly give you a quick little primer here on grass. So grass starts at the ground and grows up. I know that's not a big revelation, but that's how it grows. So the lines at the top are meant for you to practice going from the ground and going up. And when you're doing that, I want you to notice the line that we're designating at the ground is thicker than the line when it gets to the top. So just the way grass grows, it's thick at the bottom and gets thin at the top. The next, I skipped the top one. So the next one is that kind of thing, but we're adding a little bit to it. So if we look at our reference, we can see all that yellow in there. That's the yellow heather, or, I mean, you may know the real name for that plant. I'm just making it up. But we want to add a little bit something to our grass. So we're going to have it go up, and then we're going to just kind of squiggle it. To give it a little bit more. So that's going to be in the area where that yellow is that we see there. And again, when we're doing this, we're not going to put it all over. We don't have to. We have to give the idea of grass. So I want you to work through there and just practice a few of those. The one at the bottom seemed to me to be maybe closer to what we want to put in our sketch. So we've got it coming out, we've got long pieces, we've got short pieces beside, and we'll just kind of look at our reference as we go, and we'll add those in. But just take a couple of minutes, practice going from bottom to top and having your hand come off the page so that we get a nice sort of narrow line at the top versus the thick line at the bottom. Yeah.
So for that last one, I mean, we're doing this for the long ones, the ones that are going like a circle, we do it down or?
Yes. Yeah, good point. So this is kind of up. These ones, we go from the ground down. And when you do that, you can see how it narrows out. So just, I'm going to give you 2 minutes and 4 seconds, and then we're going to move on and finish off our details on the drawing. All right, how we doing? Ready to move on a little bit? So we have this idea about the grass, and I'm looking at the building right now, along the building. That grass we see there is not the same size as the grass we see down here at the front. This is it's in the distance. It's smaller. This is right in the foreground. It's right in front of us. It's bigger. So we're going to put the grass back here in small strokes. So I'm going to use my marker here. And I'm just going to do this. Now, I don't know if I'm using the marker because I'm hoping it'll show up, but I just realized it's pretty small. But we just want to put small lines. So if this is the front, this is the size at the back. So we want it quite a bit smaller. That's hard to see. Let me see if I can use this. Yeah, I think I should use the charcoal. It's hard to see the marker. So we're just doing that in front of this building. Because we really can't see the bottom that well. I mean, we can see a little bit of the red there, but most of this is just the grass that we're seeing in front of it. I'm going to make a mess here. So looking at that, we can see that there's a bit of a ridge of the green that kind of goes here and along here. So just kind of fill in, but don't fill in everywhere. So we're going to put a few in that are the same size and kind of mix it up a little bit so it doesn't look like it's right on top of everything. Remember, we're going to go back over top of that with our green. Over here, we can see it getting just a little bit longer. So we can make these a little bit longer as we get closer to the front. Now the idea of the yep, yep,
So that's going to be yellower.
yes.
Could you put the grasses in after you painted it?
Excellent question. And yes, you can. The reason I'm asking you to do it today is because you need to wait for the colors to dry before you put the lines in. So I thought today we'd get the lines in and you get an idea of what it looks like. But I think you're absolutely right. The best way to do this is to put the color in, wait for it to dry, then come back with your marker and do what we're doing and put those in. But I did want you to get the kind of the look, so you kind of knew what I was going for.
If we're using a permanent marker,
Yes.
can we put the grass in like right now with the
Sure.
permanent marker?
Yeah.
And it won't.
Yep.
It'll be fine.
No, it'll be fine. Yeah. By the time we get to the painting, it'll be nicely dried. So that is something you can do as well. Instead of if you're confident, take your permanent marker and do that to put the grass in, the bits of grass you're putting in. Then it will be there after we put the color on. You'll be able to see it really clearly. But if you're not, don't rush through this. This is our second class doing this. Yes.
I haven't quite got my question together yet.
Okay, well, I'm going to stand here and make you feel nervous.
You can do it either way.
You could do it either way, yes. So when I was starting to do this sketching in the wild stuff myself, I only worked in pencil because I wasn't confident that I could get the lines right and I might make a mistake. And then I would paint over and I would use the lines because you could still see them and then go over them with the marker afterwards.
Either way.
Yeah, either way. So I do want you to notice that the grass is getting longer as it's coming up to this line that I designated here as kind of where the foreground is. So once we get into here, it's going to get quite long. In fact, it's probably going to be 3 times the size of what's over there. And again, that's because it's in the foreground. It's right in front of us. So that's going to happen there. It's going to happen over here. And don't be afraid to take a little creative license. You know, it doesn't all have to be together, or it can be a whole bunch together. It doesn't all have to look the same, or it can look exactly the same. That's how it's your drawing, it's how you see it. And then one last thing while I leave you to finish up this part. So in this middle area here is where we see those yellow ones. And I'm suggesting that you use the ones like this in there. The thing to keep in mind about sketching is that we're not drawing an exact replica. We're drawing the feeling that we have. We're drawing, this looked really cool to me and I want to get it down on paper. We're not looking for a photograph. We're looking for, look where we were. Holy smokes, you can draw? And have a conversation. I did notice I forgot to put the the shadow on this side. So if you're at that point and you can see what I'm doing, put a little bit of shadow on this side because it's also in shadow. We take like a 6-minute break here because we have been sitting for almost an hour. So get up, walk around, maybe get a drink of water, go to the bathroom. If you're comfortable, leave your sketchbook open so people can have a look and see, admire your work. But yeah, let's take a little break. Please get up and move. If any of you get stuck here, you're staying the night. That's all there is to it. We're going to put a little bit of color on here. I have heard a lot of comments as I'm walking around and talking to folks that they're not quite sure what they're doing is the right thing. I want to tell you a quick little story. I used to help run the art crawl here in town. And there was a period in a day that I didn't have anything to do. So I pulled up my sketchbook and I got a chair and I sat on West Street and I just started sketching the art crawl. And a friend of mine came up in front of me and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Kind of like that, kind of like urgent. Like, I said, "What are you talking about? I'm just sketching." He said, "Look behind you." And there had to be 50 people standing behind me watching what I was doing. Now, I didn't think I was doing anything spectacular, and it didn't even look very good as far as I was concerned. But people are interested. People really like it when you do that, when you're out there and you're showing off your art. So don't ever think that what you're putting on paper isn't likable. Everybody likes it. Trust me. You guys, I'm looking around the room, all of you could join me in the Sketching in the Wild session, and you'd outshine me in a second. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, we did learn kind of a valuable lesson. Somebody did, I forget who. These sketchbooks are not meant for deep, heavy washes. They are meant for light washes, which is why I say, please put a light wash on. Don't get too thick with the water. We don't do wet on wet because it's too wet and the paper starts to separate. This is rag paper, so it will separate if there's too much water on it. Now, if you put water on and you let it dry, and then you put another wash on top of it, you'll probably be fine. But just keep in mind, we want light washes. And that way you can, use the back of the page for another sketch. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to get a little purple. We're going to use purple because we don't use black. If we use black, the page goes flat. We should have a couple of blues in our paint palette, a darker blue and a lighter blue. And if you notice, the sky is lighter than the water. So we want our lighter one up there, and we want a lot more water in it. The grass, whoops, has all colors of grass in it. So we have light green, we have dark green. That's a pretty dark green. We have some yellow in there. There's a little bit of orange on the orangey red on the rocks. So we're going to need all of those colors and, maybe a little bit of wash of something else. So again, I'm using, and I think I've said this to you before, these watercolors that I'm using up here are only because my picture is bigger and I need more paint than I can get from the smaller palette. But this is exactly the same as what you're using. If you, at some point, want to make up your own watercolor kit, you can get the little pans, they call them, little squares, and get this stuff in the tube, fill up the little squares, let it dry for 24 hours, put it in a little container, and take it with you. When you reactivate it, when you wet it again, oh, there we are, look behind, quick. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You can carry the colors that you like right with you and just wet it again, and there you go. You're off to the races. Yeah, that's another step above.
You can order it on Amazon.
Oh, can you?
You can buy
Oh.
little plastic boxes at the dollar store, little compartments. though.
You can, can't you?
Yeah,
You know what?
just fill those up.
There's a couple of things at the dollar store that I have used. One is in the outdoors section, the fisherman section. There's these little flip things, and they put lures in these things. And
Oh, I know what you mean.
yeah, but make sure you get the ones that go right to the bottom so they don't leak into each other. There's also pill containers. Those are perfect. They're all separated, and you can get big ones, small ones, however many you want. So, and I've used both of those things, so I recommend them both. All right.
Tinian sells the metal containers. Tinian sells the metal containers
Yes,
and those little square white things separately.
but it's on Temu.
On Tinian.
And they're the cheapest.
And they're
And they're-
really, yeah, really reasonable.
They're cheap or they're inexpensive.
Very inexpensive.
No,
You have to order
the big
$35
small ones like this,
stuff
you get like.
Oh yeah, you do have to order a lot to get the shipping, but oh yeah.
The big one, the big black one, you get for $7. Cheapest, and they're the same as on Amazon, except half the price.
And again, you can use any tin that you want. I actually have some that I made up that I put in cigarette tins, old cigarette
You
tins.
buy these, the little pans, the half pans, you get 50 of them in a bag.
Yeah.
for $10 or so. They're
You get more than you'll ever need in a lifetime. Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's start with the sky. And we're going to use our light blue. Whoop, oh, geez, I do that all the time. I just put my brush in my coffee. Oh, you guys are laughing. Wait till it happens to you. Actually, the last trip we were on, I kept doing that so often that I took some postcards with me and I ended up drawing the postcards with coffee. Okay, lots of water. We want this to be very washy up there. Remember to keep your paper towel handy. And remember what the sky looks like. Does it go from the left to right or does it go from up and down? I like to think it goes left and right. I could be delusional, which is quite possible. But nobody's going to say that to me because I'm the teacher, right? So I'm leaving quite a bit of white in my sky because it is lighter.
So you need more white instead of using the lighter blue emitter.
Yeah, yeah, that's my suggestion. And again, we're thinking about doing these sketches and taking maybe, at the most, maybe a half an hour. So you don't want to get too detailed. There's always time in the room afterwards, right? We can then take our darker blue and do the same thing, make a wash, but it's going to be quite a bit darker. And that's going to be for the water. And you go, whoops, I'm getting it all over the place here. Now, what I'd like you to do is take a little artistic license here. I mean, where is this water? We've got shadows there. We've got all kinds of things. We're not entirely sure where it is, but we can certainly put in what we want to put in. We don't have to follow the reference exactly. Whoops. And the sky. Now, I don't know if we have a brown or a gray in that palette. There is a brown? So, as I said before, I don't really like these darker colors, but we do have something that maybe should be gray, but might actually not look bad if we give it a wash of brown. I actually think, well, I think that was burnt umber that I used there, but it's close. So we're going to make the shadow side darker than the light side. So we're going to take the color while it's quite dark and do our shadow first. And then with more water, we're going to do the light side. And remember, we want to leave those windows. So this is a brown that I'm using, although I think it's probably mixing with the charcoal, which is making it look lighter. And maybe take now a little bit of brown right from the palette, or whichever color you're using, and just put a little bit extra in the shaded parts here. And have a look at our reference. There are some spots underneath these eaves and on, if you're looking at it, on the right side of the peaked roof that could be a little darker. So we can go right from our palette, whoops, and do that, and that, and that, just to give it a little bit more. Oh, there's a little bit at the top too. Yeah, I think the charcoal kind of overtook mine here. Not going to put that little bit of red on just yet that's on the building. Two reasons. One is I'd like to put the grass in first, but the other reason is red's a very overpowering color, and it'll overpower your brush. It'll overpower everything you're working on. If you put the other colors in first, you're more likely to get the color that you want for them, as opposed to having, to wash that red out of your brush and make sure it's really gone. So let's start with the light green.
Chris, so we're not going to color the front of the building a light brown?
Pardon me?
You're not going to color the front of the building a light brown?
I did.
The front?
Yeah.
Oh.
I put like a ton of water in with it though. So yeah, it's a very, yep, very light wash. I want, because it is kind of, I mean, if you look at our reference, it's in the light. Ready, we're going to start with our light green, and we're going to put this in like we're painting grass. And when I do my atelier program, I talk about lines of intention. If you intend for that to be up and down, and you draw it up and down, or in this case, paint, the lines will look like they should be up and down. Now, I would suggest that you do this all over where you intend to have grass. With the light, even right here in the front. Yeah, we have a big space over here that's in shadow, and I'm not quite sure what that is. Um, somebody said, who said it looked like a helicopter? Oh, yeah, the shadow, I mean, it's a very strange looking shadow. Yeah, like I don't know what it's coming from. I think I need to put a little more blue in here. Okay, once we have the light green all over where you want it, then you're going to take your darker green, and I hope that's this one. Nope, that's, oh yeah, that's it. And do the same thing, make a wash. Lots of water. And go back to the spots that you think should have darker color. So for sure, this area over here should have darker color. And we've got some darker here as well. Whoops, where is it? There's a little bit of darkness in between some of these up here. So just kind of blot it in. We will have some yellow. It almost looks yellowy orange to me, but, and this you can put on right from the palette. Because we want it to kind of be bright in here. And again, we're just dabbing it on there. I don't think there's any in the front, is there? A little bit. A little bit down here too, a little yellow mixed in there. Now I'm going pretty quickly through this grass. Grass is not just green. Grass is purple and grass is brown. And it's all kinds of other colors mixed into it, which really give you, if you want to spend some time, that really good looking grass. But keeping in mind, we're out sketching in the wild. I'm going to put a little green in the background here. Oh, that's a little bit too dark. Oh well. That should be more, that should be more misty. Oh, can't wipe it off. Oh well.
What color is that?
That's supposed to be dark green. Yeah, it's kind of dark green. It's too dark though. I don't like that. It needs to be more, in the background, more misty kind of looking. Take a little bit of your brown. Make it not so watery. And let's put that It's not really helping me, is it? Let's put that on the rocks. And again, you know what? It doesn't look exactly like it does in the picture. We're not drawing a photograph. Two more colors I want to use before we're done here. One is the red, or I think in this case I'm going to use orange. And just put a little bit, whoops, that brush is dirty. A little bit along here. But then you'll also see that there's an orange in these rocks. And so you can just kind of dot some of that in there to fill up some of the space. And then the last color I want to use is purple. The windows are black. But as I said before, black is going to flatten the sketch down. So I always try to find purple in the windows. To me, it looks a little nicer, and it doesn't flatten anything. And you can use the purple straight from the palette, and you don't have to fill it in completely to have a good look. Just kind of dab it in there.
That one's flashing red.
Uh-oh.
So, I think it's time. See, I noticed the red blink and I was like, something going on there. There we
Thank
go.
you. Who said what? Yes. So I used brown, but I managed to mix it in with the charcoal that's there and a little bit of the green for some reason. So that's why I got that weird color. I put the orange in because I kind of see around the edge here almost a little orangey look around the edge of these rocks. So I thought that might be a little different. Minutes. We're pretty much finished with this sketch. It's taken me a little bit longer to go through this, but that's okay because there's a lot of things happening here and we need to, kind of go through a lot of the details. I did say I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about how to put people in your buildings, in your sketches. So we're going to do that. We've got about, half an hour, 20 minutes. So if you're kind of done, make sure you get a piece of either wax paper or parchment to put in between so you don't get the paint on the other page. And turn your page to get ready for the next idea. We're going to probably give it, 4 minutes and 19 seconds in between. Yeah.